Question number 12.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll begin the session.
Okay. Do you want to wait for 2 more minutes?
All right, just
Yeah,
2
because
more
it's
minutes.
5:26.
Yes. Right, so I think we should begin. It's time now. Hello, Mr. Bafna, sir.
Yeah.
Right, so let's begin.
So shall we start?
Yes, sir. Just a sec.
Yeah.
Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Angad Singh. Welcome back to another session of the Law Club. Today we have with us Advocate Pankaj Bafna, and today he is going to speak about cybersecurity and its investigation. I hope it's going to be an interesting session. So I request you to begin the session now.
Yeah. Thanks, Angad. And good evening, everyone. And especially attending this in the lockdown period after a 45-day holiday. And because as I just came to know that we all are from most of the people who are attending the session are from the legal fraternity. So basically, I'll be covering the topics where we lawyers or the people from the legal field should take into consideration during our daily routine life and the routine practice. First of all, what is cybercrime and how does it affect us? How does it affect our legal practice? Every day, somewhere or the other, we are victimized or unknowingly we are being made as an accused, which we don't know that we have done a particular crime in the IT industry. When it comes to cybercrime, it comes to the mind that the credit card frauds, the social networking issues, Facebook पे किसी ने page बना दिया, or WhatsApp पे किसी ने message भेज दिया. Those things only come into our mind because the media is also just taking over those such matters, which is being reported. I'm sorry, which is being reported. And specifically, but if you see in today's scenario, cybercrime has become such a heinous thing that we cannot imagine in our dreams that while sleeping also we may be affected, because this is just how the interest factor runs on 24 hours. The criminal, the cyber criminals which are sitting around, they work 24 hours, and during our mode of sleep or during our mode of rest, they operate and they take away special information in the form of data, or they use our gadgets and do the criminal activities and leave behind and leave evidence in the name of the person whose the gadget belongs to. Ample of crimes are there which I am handling in my daily life. Credit card frauds, which comes into the financial frauds, social engineering. Those are I say those are related to a small type of criminals who are doing those activities. But the hardcore and the professional cyber criminals which are doing, they're using the artificial intelligence technology, the blockchain technology, where they are harming the industries, they are harming the government segments. Ample of issues are there. Now, when it comes to the legal profile, suppose now a case comes to us through our client that this particular amount has been withdrawn and I have been victimized by 70,000 rupees has been suddenly withdrawn from my bank account. Now, what should I do? They immediately go to the local police. The first remedy which comes to the mind is going to the police. But problem is that even our police is not that well efficient with the technology, with the IT Information Technology Act, the laws, the forensic reports, the procedural part, the definition parts, even they are not aware. So what happens, the complainant seeks the help of a lawyer who can guide them and help them lodge their complaints and all. Over there, our expertise comes into picture. Okay, how we can take the particular crime mode and explain to the cops, okay, this is where you have to lodge a complaint under this particular provision of the act. Other acts are also there. Okay, those have to be clubbed together, and how investigation has to be done. The major part is how investigation has to be done. Just lodging of a complaint and giving an FIR copy is not the solution. Ample of procedures are there. When you go to a police station, the FIR copy is given to you. Now what? Then comes the evidence part, because just lodging a complaint and giving a FIR copy is not the solution. You have to provide evidence along with it. And evidence in the IT industry, it is electronic evidence. And electronic evidence is a very crucial mode of subject. It is a document which you have to prove that it is genuine and it is not fake. Because nowadays, during this COVID also, you might be seeing so many fake messages, so many fake videos roaming around, which we cannot imagine also that these are fake. We start believing them, we start forwarding them, unknowingly also we start forwarding them, we start reacting to that, and then we land into trouble. So all these things you have to take into consideration. Being an expert from the legal field, you should guide the complainant or the victim. Okay, this is the procedure, this is how you have to collect evidence, this is what you have to give along with your application to the police or along with your complaint to the police. And then, because this is the beginning of the complaint, because that whatever is given to the police comes in the form of evidence in the court of law. There the lawyer comes into picture, where either if he's from the defense side, he has to challenge it, or if he's from the prosecution side, he has to prove it. So these are the things which I will be throwing a light on that. Before that, while I go on, the crimes, the mode of crimes which we are facing every day, so many cases are coming that we cannot think also. Our mobile is getting hacked. Someone else is using my mobile. I'm sitting over here and I'm just delivering a lecture, and suddenly a person calls me up, sir, why did you message me this particular clipping? Or why did you forward me this particular video? I said that time I was not there. I was delivering a session online. But that the person who is receiving that particular video has evidence that from your mobile, this particular video or this particular message has come. Now, this is where we are victimized unknowingly. Now, if that person who is receiving the message or the video goes to the cops and lodges a complaint, he will immediately give the number from where it is being sent. And that number belongs to me. Now over here, I cannot say if the cops or if the legal enforcement, they catch hold of me, I cannot deny, okay, sir, it was not me, because the evidence, the electronic evidence says that it was my device. So we have to take care of all those things. And I say that taking care is the better solution rather than going around and just finding other solutions. So in this, what are the cyber crimes, other top modes of cyber crimes, which we are going to face in future? Now, even our judiciary has also come online. We are filing our petitions online. We are hearing judgments online. There are, I will not name, in recently in Bombay High Court also, a particular judge's judgment was uploaded without his knowledge. Without his knowledge, he had never dictated that judgment, and it was uploaded and circulated. Now, these things are going to happen in the routine life. We have to be practical enough. And being lawyers, we should be very well versed with all these things which are going to come across. That time we cannot, because now the complainant or the victims, they will see whom are we approaching. It's a very big market. Now everything is available on Google. Just saying that I am an expert, I will help you out, that doesn't solve the problem, because whatever you are guiding the person, the victim, it should stand in the court of law. Just lodging a complaint is not the solution. So we have to take care of that. Now the modes of what are the other types of cyber crimes? Fake profile pages, which goes across. Someone creates my profile page and they send a message. Just recently, I received one complaint 7 days back of a leading film actor, where his Twitter handle was being used and a message was passed again another community. He immediately, as soon as he came to know, he started getting calls from the media that you have posted such message. He told, I have never used my handle from past so many days. He immediately shot up a video and uploaded that video, denying that this content was put by me. But what the evidence is, his Twitter handle was used, so the evidence leads towards him. So for that, how to protect him? The role of a lawyer comes over there. But for that, you should know the provisions of the law. You should know the procedures of the technology, how it can happen. Then only you will be able to convince or defend him. Other things are there where nowadays in the lockdown period, ample of things are going around within the four walls of the household premises. Husband-wife issues, neighbors issues, employer-employee relationship. If they are denying the salary, the employee wants to destroy the employer. They just hack into the system, the company system account. They shoot up emails, anything wrong, and they defame that particular person or the company. So all these things are happening now because people are frustrated. They're sitting at home. They have no other work. They use the technology. They study the technology. They have ample of time to study all these things. And the videos are available free of cost online. So this teaches them how to create crime or how to defend crime. So in such a scenario, if a particular victim comes to us, this has been happened and I want some guidance from you. So we should be able to guide that person. So the first thing is, where should a victim go as soon as it comes to the knowledge that I have been victimized or my particular page or my particular social account or my bank account has been compromised, has been targeted. Where should he go? The police or the particular tribunal or to the court of law, where that guidance has to be given by us. If he goes to the nearest police station, the jurisdiction issues comes. Where did it come to the knowledge? Where are you residing? Where does the accused reside? These questions irritate the victim more. So that victim leaves the complaint and he goes back. But if this goes on, this is not the solution. We have to put them in a proper framework, show the provisions to the police. This is where you have the jurisdiction. You have to take the complaint. Investigation has to be transferred to the proper authorities. From there, you have to collect the evidence, catch hold of the culprit, bring him before the court, and then the trial and the other part, the charge sheet and all those things start. So this is what the flow chart of a criminal trial, specifically into the IT. Now for this, the cyber, it comes into the special act, which is known as the Information Technology Act, which was enacted in the year 2000, and it was amended in 2008. But that time it was just framed and it was made just to cope up with the need, but it was not that particular taking care of the scenario. No one expected that cyber will be taking over the world. If you see, we never thought that biological war which we are already facing this situation, will happen. We never dreamt, even our seniors, they never dreamt of all those things. If the word war is to come, we used to the bombs will be there, the guns will be there, the tanks will be there, but nowhere these things have been have been used. Just a small particular virus has started this. The same way in our cyber also, these things are going on. Cyber war is going on already. We don't know because we don't see it. It is already going on. One country is attacking another country. Already it is going on from past 10 to 15 years, which because we are not affected, we feel we are not affected, but indirectly we are getting affected because those, when the cyber war goes on, they don't affect individuals. They affect systems. They affect the government. They affect the industries. They affect the business. But indirectly, we are a part of all these systems. So this is where we have to be very serious about it. This is going to come. This will be the future. So we have to take it seriously that the IT segment, we cannot say can now the same old mode of practice will also go on in the judiciary. We'll then now also we will go and stand up in the court. We'll file petitions manually, slowly and steady. This will also will be wiped off. Everything will go online. Scrutinization will go on. How right now in the high courts or the Supreme Court it is going on, only urgency matters have been taken into considerations. These procedures we have to accept in our judiciary. So we should be abiding by all these things, knowing the technology which is going to come, and ample of time has been given to us to learn all these things. Before the lockdown, I think so 90% of the people was not knowing what is Zoom and all those things. But after the lockdown, now I think so even a small child knows what is Zoom because schools have taken over on online schoolings. The professionals have taken over. Now, just recently, today morning, I received one case of a very famous case, school in Mumbai, where the training sessions were going on Zoom. The classroom were taken place. The classrooms were being filled with the students, and the professor was there. Suddenly, one person popped up inside with the name of an identical student, and he started showing pornographic clippings on that particular the study. Now, this scenario. Now, you just imagine what happens to the student, the children who are watching all these things. The person who had entered into it, he had got the password, the user ID, entering into Zoom. From where did he get it? We don't know. The school doesn't know. How did he start sharing the documents? No one knows. How did he, first of all, he started defaming the teacher. He started talking all nonsense things on the particular platform. Now, these things will be happening in practicality. So we should know the security features also. How before using any technology, we should know the do's and don'ts. We want to have the car, but we don't know how to evade accidents. We should know the rules of the traffic. The same way, when you use a gadget, you should know the do's and don'ts of that particular gadget. If you're using Zoom or any other media for online studies or anything, online conferencing, we should know the features of it. So this is where the technology comes, the security part comes. When you go into social networking, nowadays people are just posting on Facebook and whatever they want, they just post it because they feel something should go on online. But you should know who is reading it. You should know who is there in your friend list. Just don't go on accepting unwanted people just because my one particular known person, he's known to that person, he's a mutual friend of that person, I should also accept it. No. The hackers or the criminals, they come in that particular mode. They create fake profile pages. They accept your friendship or send friendship request to you. Then they start collecting your database contact list, and then they send unwanted things in your name where you will be targeted. Then you will be put up as a criminal. So these are the things which should take care of the social networking also. Then the financial part comes, the bank account, the wallets. We start using wallets. Nowadays, most of the people are using wallets, but they're connecting it with their bank accounts without knowing. People call up to them, give them offers, or they want to give them refund. They immediately download, they share their OTPs. Please don't do that, because that you are opening up the door to the cyber criminals and making them enter into your house. And once they enter into your house, you cannot stop them from robbing you. The same way it is that don't let unknown people, even if you want a refund, go through the normal procedures. Don't click on any links. So these things we should, and now these are the do's and don'ts which you should take care during the normal routine day of life. Now comes the legal part. Being a lawyer, I am more interested in the legal scenario. Okay, now these things are very ample of cybersecurity experts who will teach us don't do this, do this. They will give you good softwares and all. Those are experts in those things. We as a lawyer, we should be expert in our field. Okay, suppose now a crime has been registered. What will you do with that criminal? What will you do to get justice? Where will you go? How is the procedure to be put up before the court of law? Obviously, the procedures, the CRPC, CPC is the same. But under that, what has to be followed? How it has to be followed? You have to guide your client or the prosecution or the defense or convince the judge, okay, sir, this is where my defense is taking place. Now, this scenario, ample of things, the cyber cases, if you see in any court of law, everyone might be practicing in courts. If you see, the cyber cases are not being conducted on a regular way because we are failing in convincing the judiciary. We are failing to understand. We are failing. Even the police is failing to produce it in a proper manner. So these are where the lacuna is there, due to which the trials are not going on and ample of issues are being put forward. Now, in this, before going on to the legal part, if there is any question, you can just put up before the moderator so that I can keep on answering the questions. Angad?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Are there any questions?
All right.
Can you
At
just,
the moment, there are none in the chat box, but
can you just
anyone who has any questions can anyone who has any questions can put those questions in the chat box and we'll take them up as we go. Right, Pankaj, so there's a question that has come up. Will you take it now?
Yeah, it's from Neeraj, I think so. The remedy, if Paytm unknown person is sending message and taking KYC, where to take action? You can write down immediately to the Paytm nodal officer, okay, that such and such person had called up from a particular number and he has been started demanding for the KYC details. So we have to bring it to his knowledge and register the complaint. Secondly, you can go to the nearest police station or go online and lodge this complaint also, because this particular the activity falls under the criminal portion of the IT Act. The IT Act covers this. Now, because it is an identity theft. The person who is calling you on behalf of using a company name, the brand name of the company, which is not true. It is false. They are taking away your important documents, which they will be using it for creating or opening up of other accounts or producing fake identity cards or anything. So if you are a target or if you get any person and you want to give guidance, there are nodal officers which is mandatory for each and every company which is online and all. So you can report directly to the nodal officer, but you have to provide the evidence. If this particular number or this particular message had come, you have to take the screenshot and upload it, attach it along with that complaint. This was to Neeraj. Now, from Dhara, it is with the increase in use of social media, apps like Snapchat, where stories and pictures can be wiped off after 24 hours. How do authorities collect evidence in such situation if a cyber crime is committed? See, whatever evidence is wiped off, it is from your handset. It is not from the server. So there is a particular time period which each and every country has been given to the intermediaries. In our country, we have a 90 days lockdown period. If we talk in that particular language, 90-day backup, they have to keep it. So suppose even if it is wiped off, the law enforcement agencies can write to the companies and extract that data. So for 90 days, you have the evidence.
One question, sir, relating to these intermediaries.
Yeah.
Where is the data stored? As I understand, the servers are not always in India, so that could be an issue. How do you get around that?
Yeah, see, the intermediaries, they have their database in their own servers. They have backup servers. But we have the laws where the enforcement agencies or the courts can provide them directions to produce. Now, for example, Facebook. Now we need the log reports or some particular evidence from Facebook. Facebook provides you within 30 days. They don't deny. They provide you within 30 days because they have to be they have to go as per the law of the country. So it is available and they help you, but it takes time.
All right.
You don't get it immediately.
Moving on to the next question.
From Sachin, is any action possible against spam mails and phishing inquiry mails? Yes, you can. There are provisions in the IT Act or the IPC where you can report this particular victimization to the local authorities. But for that, you have to take the pain and go and lodge a complaint. Just lodging the complaint will not solve the issue because it is on a very large scale. Spam mails, it is practical. It is better delete it off rather than going and filing a complaint and doing the follow-ups. Banks are asking to additional pay for secure your fraud transaction. Whether any remedy available or not if we don't purchase such type of insurance to claim our fraud transactions. No, this is cyber insurance which has been started by most of all the companies to safeguard your particular amount or whatever it is. But right now, as per the RBI, it is not yet sanctioned. The Insurance Act, it has also not been amended. So I will advise don't go to such marketing skills of the bankers or whoever the agents or the DSAs are. Right now, till the amendment is done, please do not do that because indirectly only up to ₹1 of 1 lakh it is insured by the RBI itself. Even if you insure my 10 lakhs rupees is lying in my account and I want to do the insurance, it will not help you out because it has to go through the Reserve Bank of India, which is still not approved. Can action be taken against fake reviews under IT Act or any other act? Yeah, right now under the IT Act, there is no provision. 66A was there, but it has been scrapped. Right now, IPC is there. But now in this COVID, there is a Disaster Management Act which takes care of fake messages during this COVID, as well as IPC 500, which is just like a NC. But IT has no provision till today. It was there, it is scrapped. A colleague of mine recently faced an issue of a personal image used without her consent for a pop-up Facebook ad by a third-party adult dating app. What is the remedy in such? She can, right now, Dhara, you can directly, you tell your friend to connect directly to Facebook to stop this. There are security features where you can block the ads. You don't have to report this to the local police or anywhere. Your friend itself can do this. So henceforth in future, it will not be receiving. Now, should I continue with the other part? We'll take the questions after 10-15 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. So now these are the things, see, how to go, where to go. But now, once you know the procedure, okay, yes, you have to go to this particular person or to particular agency. Now, what to give? You'll just pop in and say, okay, sir, mere saath aisa ho gaya hai. I want to lodge a complaint. That is not the procedure. You have to go with all your legal, how a doctor goes along with all his equipment. You also, being a lawyer, you have to go along with all your evidence to the police. Because at the time of, and specifically the electronic evidence. Now, the questions I'll give you some examples from these questions only. Now, suppose if someone is, the fraud transactions, banks are asking for additional payment. If they send you an email, if this bank is asking for additional payment or anything, you have to take the printout of that particular email, go to the authorities, file along with your complaint, annex it along with it. But you have to give an undertaking also. Yes, whatever I have given you as evidence is true and genuine. It is not fake. It is not created by myself just to put anyone else into trouble. So this undertaking you have to give to the police. It is not the procedure which has been adopted right now practically, but in future, Otherwise, the person who is complaining may land into trouble by the defense. So it is better in the initial stage, you guide your clients or you yourself, when you are drafting the complaint, take this into consideration and file the evidence at that very moment, if you can, if it is possible. So, and plus, you have to give and you should give an undertaking how you have done it. That then it will come in the part of the evidence. Okay, how you have to certify it, produce it with along with an affidavit. That will come when your FIR is filed and you're filing the final evidence with the police. So this is related to the procedural. Now, just going to the police is not the scenario. Now, if a amount has been compromised, someone has taken away. I'll give you examples. Many of my clients where crores of rupees have been taken away. There is a famous case, which is known as the missed call case. If you go online, you can just see. At the midnight at 3 a.m., 1.86 crores was siphoned off from his account, where the person was sleeping and 1.86 crore went away. In his bank account, there was only 1.2 crores and 1.86 went away. So now you can just, okay, how 66 lakhs excess has gone away from his account. That also without adding any beneficiary, without any sharing of OTPs, nothing. It came to his knowledge in the morning when he went during the banking hours, he went to the bank and he came to know that his bank account was nil. It was zero. Now you just imagine 1.86 crores. If it goes away from your account, what will be your condition? And that also, the routine business is totally stopped. That time he goes to the police, he lodges a complaint. But again, what is the remedy? What is the evidence? There is no evidence. Just a bank statement that this particular amount has been gone away. But there is a remedy. If you can secure your payment, the RBI has come up with some notifications where if you file a complaint with your banker within a period of 3 days, that this particular amount has been taken away and I'm disputing this amount, you have to fill up a dispute form, which mostly the bankers avoid to give you. They avoid to give you that particular form. They will make that the victim run, go file a FIR, get that FIR to us, then only we'll give you a form. They are doing this purposely so that the 3-day cooling period goes away. But not necessarily you have to go through a form. You can give it in writing also. You can shoot it up via email to the registered email ID. You can send a message also if you have the bank's call center number. So these are because what the RBI say, there should be a communication that you are disputing this transaction. Just a communication. It is not prescribed that you have to give it in a proper format, which is there with the bankers. You have to dispute that this transaction is not done by me. So hence kindly take a note. So within 3 days, the banker has to refund back your amount. This is the circular which has been given by Reserve Bank of India. Now, this is not only for banks, it is also for wallets. It is also for wallets. So if your amount of rupees 20,000, 30,000 has been siphoned off, it is gone away. Then you run around with between the police and the banker. Banker is available. You can see the bank, but what about the wallets? I think so 99% of the people doesn't know where are the offices of those wallets. Where will you go to file that complaint? Where will you take the dispute forms? So this is where you immediately go online, just shoot up the complaint online and put this transaction into dispute. Secondly, Reserve Bank has never told that you have to lodge a police complaint. It is not mandatory for the victim to lodge a police complaint. It is mandatory by the custodian, that is the banker, to lodge a complaint, because the banker is a custodian of our money. The money has been taken away from their custody, not from our custody. So the banker has to go and lodge a complaint, which they claim it via insurance. The banker avoids this because they don't want to come into these legal hassles and they don't want to go and approach the police. I will just take a break because I've just got one call from a police station. Please.
In the meantime, anyone can put up, anyone has any questions can put them up in the chat box. I'm sorry for the break in between. We'll be up shortly.
Yeah, sorry. I keep on receiving calls from the police regarding all these issues, so I have to guide them. Yeah. So now, I forgot where I was. Can you just bring me back on the track?
So you were talking about the bank forms.
Yeah, the dispute forms. So now
Dispute forms.
the banks, okay, Union Bank of India or the corporation, they are available. You can see the boards, in the offices. But what about the wallets? Does anyone know where is Paytm office? Does anyone know where is Google Pay's office? Where will you go and lodge the complaint? I don't think so anyone knows. And what is the procedure of lodging a complaint? You cannot just barge into that office and just say, just take my complaint. No. So there are online modes. You should know you should know the customer care number. You should also know the nodal officer, because every intermediary, they are known as intermediaries. Even the government has appointed now nodal officers right now during this COVID, because nodal officer is a bridge between the company as well as the victim and the users. Every person cannot go and meet the chairman or the directors of the company or the commissioner of the police or the DG of the police. The nodal officer is responsible to answer the complaints and take care of the legal remedies. So you should know the nodal officer, whatever application or whatever company services you are using, note down the nodal officer's name. It is not easy. Don't go on Google and take down the numbers. Google is having fake database. Don't go over there. There is a procedure to track the nodal officers. So this is a research for you all people, how to get the nodal officers. Google, don't go and type nodal officer of ICICI Bank. You will get a fake number. You will again be laid into trap. That is not the easiest solution. Take some pains. You're a legal people. Take some pains. Go to that particular website of that company. You'll get the numbers from somewhere hidden inside. You will get those numbers. So you should note down the nodal officers, lodge a complaint over there in a prescribed normal procedure, but along with evidence. Everything has to go along with evidence. Just writing down I have been targeted or my client has been targeted will not solve the purpose. You have to put them in documentation form with those people. So this is a way of lodging a complaint and where. Now, for example, if something is happening from Paytm, your money has gone away. You'll find out the nodal officer's number. Now, if the nodal officer doesn't react or solve your complaint, now what next? Where you should go? This is a civil remedy. You are seeking compensation or the actual amount which has been siphoned out or has been taken away from your account. You have a tribunal in the IT Act, the Information Technology Act. A tribunal is formed in each and every state. In Maharashtra, we have it in Mantralaya. You can go and file a petition over there, a claim petition over there against the company and the accused, if the accused is there, or against the company. Within 3 days, this company has not followed the guidelines issued by the Reserve Bank of India. They failed to provide back the refund. So we are claiming along with the compensation of whatever you want to ask for maximum. So, but you have to pay a court fee of 2% over there. You can go personally. If you are a victim, you can represent your client, but mostly the clients whose amounts are very less will not take our services because they will say 20,000 to gaya, ab isme main lawyer ko kya dunga aur mujhe kya milega. So this is where you can go into a consultation mode. So this is how for the civil remedy, the tribunal is there. You cannot go to the civil court and seek that remedy. If now, for example, if I want to claim damages in other formats, I can go to the civil court and claim the compensations or claim my refund back. But in this cyber cases, you have to go before the tribunal only. Now, if the banker is defaulting and giving you proper service, you can go before the consumer in deficiency of service, but you cannot claim that it has been a cyber fraud. The bank has failed to provide security. Then the consumer court will not entertain you. Then they will immediately tell you, you have a tribunal, go before the special tribunal. But if you're going in that deficiency of service, that the bank has failed to provide service, then you can go before the consumer court. But it has to be against a banker or someone. You cannot go individual to individual. This is regarding the civil procedures. For criminal, you have to go to the police, lodge the complaint, collect the evidence, give it to the cops. It will be your duty. Don't be in the presumption and assumption that the police will extract extract that evidence. If you yourself are technical, well sound, If you are learning, I suggest that every lawyer should learn. It is not necessary that you should have to be a technical background. You have to be a science graduate. No, I myself, I'm also just a commerce graduate. You can learn because that helps you a lot in knowledge wise, fastest remedy, assisting the police, explaining properly before the court of law because you yourself have extracted that evidence. Somewhere you cannot enter into the premises of the places where you have to extract that evidence. You have to go through a proper channel, that is through the police, but you can guide the police. Sir, this is how you have to write down to Facebook or Instagram. This is the format. Do the follow-ups. Give them the numbers of the nodal officers. So this will help you out in investigating a case. Police doesn't, I'll tell you practically, because it is not practical also for the police to know all these things. Language barriers come across the country. If you see, ample of language barriers. Secondly, technology comes. The IT Act has restricted the position of an officer. The inspector and above can only investigate a IT case. Below that, a person cannot, because there is a provision in that particular IT Act. So, the inspector and above are above the age of 45 plus. So they don't want to go into this arena where this age they want to learn this technology and all. But if you are into a legal field, you are already a technical sound person, you can assist that particular inspector. Sir, this is the evidence which I have extracted. You just follow the procedures. So this can help you out in your legal practice and always solve the cases as fast as it can be. This is related to the part of investigation. Now, how to file the evidence? Every evidence is electronic in cyber cases. It cannot be physical. It has to be electronically. Even if you give a printout, we assume that it is a physical evidence. It's a physical printout document. But when it is a printout, it is an electronic document. So now you have to go under the provisions in the IT Act. Under what provision this document comes into. You have to explain to the court. Yes, sir, under this provision, I am describing is that in electronic documents for which now the Indian Evidence Act comes into picture, where there is a section known as 65, where 65 comes into picture, and I am under section 65. I am producing this document, annexing this document, and certifying it. Okay, this is true and thorough. Plus the person who is doing it. Now, problem is that ample of civil cases in which I've seen people produce 65B just as a normal Xerox, a single page of paper, write down just the name and the address and the contents, what has been put in the evidence, and give it to the court. Problem is that unless and until the defense challenges you, everything is accepted. So don't wait that the defense will not challenge you. Anything can pop up anytime. So you should know the proper procedures, what you're filing, how you're extracting it. If you're giving it in a pen drive, if you're giving it on a CD, you should know what are the other provisions. Just giving a document, just saying that this pen drive, the data is this in the pen drive, I'm submitting it across the bar. No, it cannot be. You have to provide the provision along with it. So this is where electronic evidence plays a very vital role. It is very, very crucial. You should understand, because it can be challenged any moment. That if you see ample of judgments are there. Now there are ample of issues where 65B, the certificate of genuinity, has to be produced. You cannot produce each and every moment. Now, for example, if an extract is taken from Facebook, how can you undertake? How can you guarantee that this particular extract is genuine, which is provided by Facebook? Facebook doesn't follow the law of the country. They follow their country laws. They will not go that 65 is required in your country, so I'll give you the 65. No. They will just give you the data. This is the data. Now you do what you want. So over there also, there are judgments where Supreme Court has given us the protection. In such cases, you don't have to produce 65B. You don't have to certify that these are genuine. It goes on the trial basis, the cross-examination and the arguments and all those things. So this is where you should know those judgments also, where at the time of filing the evidence, you should put that particular citation in your pleadings, in your affidavit, or whatever paper you give across to the court. As per this judgment, I am not required to give the 65B certificate, which safeguards and your evidence is exhibited. So this is how the electronic evidence you have to take care before filing. The major roles, basically don't take the blame don't take that I will fight. The advocate and the lawyer should not certify. Mostly don't certify it, because tomorrow you may land into trouble, because you are undertaking that I have taken, because I've seen people doing it. The clients get the documents or the pen drive and give it to the lawyer, and the lawyer certifies it and puts it before the court, which is wrong. Because what the law says, the person who has extracted that particular evidence has to give that certificate. The person who is delivering doesn't have to give. The person who has extracted, he should have the knowledge how he has given the database, because 100% clients are also not right. Somewhere they also misguide us. They play with the sentiments. They just want to get their things rolled on. So don't believe their evidence. Take it in writing from them. Produce it in their writing only. Tell them to come before in the witness box. You just have to plead. Don't take the blame or take the responsibility on yourself. This is where, because it plays a very vital role. Ample of fake videos are going on, being produced before the court. Fake evidence is being produced before the court, which lingers the trial. Once it is challenged, it is put into the icebox, because both the sides of the defense and the prosecution doesn't want to proceed into it, because they don't have the technical knowledge. Now, when some gadgets are being sent to the forensic department, the forensic report comes. It comes in a technical language most of the time, which even the lawyers and the judiciary fails to understand what is being produced before me. Then we have to give it in a simplified language. Okay, what does this mean? That time you have to take the help of an expert. Okay, what does this particular report, the log report, means? But that expert also again has to give an undertaking. Okay, whatever I am narrating before the court or in writing or orally is true and genuine, because if it turns fake, he can be put behind bars. So these procedures have to be taken care. Any questions? I'll hold for some questions.
Yes, sir. There are several questions in the chat box, if you can have a look.
So I'll go one by one. Okay. Can you please share the citation from Ninesh? Citation of missed call case. If you just type on 1 minute. I can share this RBI circular on the group to Mr. Murarka, so that he can circulate it to the register, whoever registered over here, because in this I will not be able to share it with you all. There are two circulars. One is for the wallets and one is for the bankers in 2018 and 2019. So this circular, and you can go online also and get it. You can go online also and get it. If you go to the RBI website. For the bankers, it is in August 2018. And for the wallets, it is the February 2019. And the missed call case is the Vimal Shah, the Vimal Shah versus State of Maharashtra. You can go and get the citation for that. Now, can you share the circulars and laws related to bankers being responsible to lodge a complaint? That is there in the circular. If you see the circular, it is clearly mentioned in that. Which section of the IT Act and Banking Transaction Related Act gets invoked in banking transaction related fraud? Now, in sections, so now what type of fraud has taken place? Identity theft has happened or cheating has happened. There is section 66 as well as 65, which covers this sort of frauds. And 43. 43 is basically for punishments, which gives you the civil remedies. So if these three sections, if you read on the IT Act, you will understand what mode, because as per what sort of crime has happened, you have to put as per that. Because 65, 66, they have sub clauses. So you have to go as per that. Identity theft, then you have to go in 66C. If there is any impersonification, you have to go in 66B, D. So this is how you have to proceed further. Then Bhalchandra, can any third person not party to a WhatsApp group use WhatsApp chat of a group to his advantage in a litigation? Third person not party to a WhatsApp group use WhatsApp chat of a group to his advantage in a litigation. I will suggest no, because the violation of privacy will come into existence for this. The person, if any person in that particular group, challenge that you have exposed our chats. So you may land into trouble. The privacy will come into picture. On what address we send notice to YouTube, Facebook, and Gmail? You can send it to the nodal officers of all these three companies. The nodal officers are do the research and get the details of the nodal officers. It's not tough, but you have to do some research. And again, I'm telling, don't Google it. You will get fake addresses, fake names. For Google, for the Facebook, you'll get addresses of Kurla. You can just understand. Facebook Kurla mein office kholega. Not possible. So don't go on for that. Go into the particular website of that company. Go into the website of the company. There are links. You have to read some pages over there. The name of the contact details and the name of the nodal officer is mentioned. It is compulsory, mandatory to mention. So you can get it from there. Now from Dhara, how are the Ponzi scheme related to cashback offers from e-wallets resolved? These are actually, now for this, there are provisions which we have taken into consideration. I'm a part of the drafting committee of the Ministry of Home Affairs, which I've already submitted the new draft to them, where we are amending the IT Act, where these Ponzi schemes, because these are all marketing schemes, giving greediness. So if you see in the advertisement, you can go to the consumer. Right now, you can go to the consumer. We don't have any provision in the IT Act. You can just go to the consumer. This particular company has cheated me or misrepresented the company, given us fake offers. But till today, we don't have any remedy in the IT Act. In future, it will be there. Just waiting for the COVID to go away and the new IT Act will be within the country. Now from Jayesh, is it advisable to complete cybersecurity courses like cryptography, penetration testing, Nmap, ethical before one should start practicing cyber law, any of the diploma courses? No, not at all. Not required. Not required. The more the certificates you'll collect, the more confused you will be. I don't have any certificate, but my experience is my certificate. The more you learn, the more you talk, the more you interact with people, the more you attend sessions, then only you'll be an expert. The more you automatically gain knowledge from the internet, rather than wasting time on all nonsense things or watching movies and all those things. Give yourself just 1 hour a day. 1 hour a day, go to proper websites and don't use Google for searching all those things. Google, I don't know what, everyone goes to the Google and types it in the search box and all. No, you should first of all, there are other web browsers also. Go over there, extract those, note down those particular or bookmark it in your web browser. Go to them or subscribe to the daily news. They will send you news. Go to the social networking sites, join those groups. They automatically will keep on sending you the updates related to cyber security, the new cyber features, the new technology which is going on. Read those articles. Attend their sessions. The webinars in India we are using right now during the COVID period, but internationally it is going on from past so many years. You can attend those. No need of doing any courses. Now, from Ms. Bansali, can we have those citations which say 65B is not required? Yeah, there are, if you see, there is a citation of Supreme Court where it is again from state of Himachal Pradesh, where if the device is in the control of a third party and is not into the control of the user or the person who is producing it, doesn't require to give 65B. You have to go, for example, Facebook is not in our control. It is within the, not even within the reach of the country also. It is in the outside country. So that is not, you cannot extract the data from there. And whatever data has been collected from there, you cannot certify. So over there, you should not, I'll just type on that particular citation so that you can note it down. That will help if it is circulated. I'll just type that judgment over here itself so you can take it down from the chat box. I am doing it for last 6 months, but not getting it. The username, it's not there. I think so he has put his Bar Council registration number. The registration number, Mr. 936 or Miss 936, whoever is it. What are you getting it? Please type the clear question. I'm doing it from last 6 months, but not getting it. What are you not getting from past 6 months? Please type that. Then Mr. Devendra, it is necessary to keep upgrading hardware and network software from time to time to ensure complete safety of data. Can I restrict hackers from hacking our system? 100% not proof, but yes, you should keep on updating your antivirus. First of all, install paid antivirus, no free. Free trial versions, no. That is just fooling you people. मतलब indirectly I'll tell you, Watchman दे दिया आपको, security guard. But if you see, if you have seen Johnny LLB, the bodyguard has been provided to that advocate. You can see the condition of the bodyguard. The same way that trial version will give you. It will just give you a format. Yes, we are protecting you, but in the backend part, they will be doing nothing. So install a paid version and keep on upgrading the patches. And mostly the antivirus companies, they after every 15 days or some particular period, they keep on updating. So that will restrict, but 100% it is not foolproof. 100% only if you keep on checking your systems. If you keep on checking and you don't give permissions, you don't visit any unauthorized or unwanted links or websites, then only you can stop the hackers. Otherwise, it is not 100% impossible. Now I'm typing the name of that. It's Safi Mohammed versus State of Safi Mohammed versus State of Himachal Pradesh. This is the judgment which you can put it in your affidavit or in your evidence, where 65B is not required, but only if the device is not in the control of the user. It is lying with a third party, then only. The judgment clearly says it. Yes, Mr. Santosh, it's the same. Now, address of FB and Gmail. Sir, सब कुछ मैं ही करूंगा तो आप लोग क्या करेंगे? 936 ढूंढिए FB and Gmail का, मिल जाएगा आपको. Now USPD, what are the provisions under law against ransomware attack? Does CERT-in have to be informed about ransomware attack that occurred on a company? Yes, if possible, you can inform CERT, and plus you can lodge a complaint with the local police also that this particular attack has been taken place, and there is a provision under the IT Act. Yeah. Now, should I proceed further?
Yes, sir.
How much time do you have?
So we have another 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
So there's this question from Gina. Like her question is, in the recent case of boys' locker room, can a PIL in cybercrime be filed? There are screenshots of that particular group. Can those be used validly?
Recent case of boys' locker room, can a PIL in cybercrime be filed? There are screenshots of that particular group. Can those be used validly? Yes, but you have to prove it. How I told you that evidence, it's electronic evidence. And specifically when if you're going in a PIL, you have to take care of all those things. How are you affected? You have to first show that. How are you affected? Why are you taking this matter before the court in the form of a PIL? FIR is filed in boys' locker room. Yes, you can take it, but the evidence, screenshots, because what is the procedure of screenshots? If you convert it into a screenshot, the format of that particular thing changes. Now, for example, WhatsApp. If you are going texting on WhatsApp, it is a text format which you are communicating between two people. Suddenly you take a screenshot and convert it. It is converted into an image. So this you have to prove how it has been, because the defense or the opposite, the defendant may challenge this. This is a pre-printed or a typed version, because screenshots also can be made in applications. If there are ample of software which can create a same ditto screenshot like of any social network, Instagram, WhatsApp, same ditto it can be created. So you have to prove that. If you are going in a form of appeal, if you're going to the court, I will suggest go through primary evidence rather than secondary evidence. Submit the particular instrument before the court so that the format of 65B and all those things goes away. It is not required. But now who takes that particular lead to submit the device? That you have to see. Mr. Darshan, I had registered for a professional course on its institute website. Within a couple of days, I've been receiving messages from various coaching classes across the city. I have also written a mail to the concerned student. I have also blocked coaching class number. However, I'm still what to do at. Now, this is a lacuna from most of us. Even I can consider myself. When we enroll on such particular websites or anything, we don't read the terms and conditions. We don't read the disclaimers. If you go through the terms and conditions and disclaimers, it is clearly mentioned, because I myself, I draft all this for e-commerce companies and all. So we take care of that. Okay, we take the permissions from the user, how the asterisk sign is there, subject to market risk. It is already clearly mentioned that we will be using your database for marketing, inner marketing purpose. So over there, you cannot challenge it. But yes, if you want to put a speed breaker to that, you can drag that company for violation of privacy that my database is being used. But no sooner or the other, the data protection bill, it is still pending. It will be converted into an act as soon as this COVID goes away. Under that, all these provisions will be taken, and that those companies will not be spared. Okay, you are leaking the data, and this is going on every day, somewhere or the other. Google and Facebook uses our database every day, every second. So for example, on Amazon, you're searching for a pair of shoes. Suddenly on your Facebook account, you'll start receiving advertisements from shoes companies. How does Facebook know that I was searching for shoes in Amazon? This is because your cookies are being shared. Facebook has taken the permission from you to use the cookies, and cookies share your database with them. So this is how, so you have to take care when you enroll for such particular any sessions or any database, wherever you are giving your database, disable your cookies, or else write it to them. I disagree with the content, whatever it is written in clause number so and so. You should not use my database for any marketing purpose. You can email it to them and get your this complaint resolved. WhatsApp chat history, if mailed to self and then print and submit an evidence, who should issue 65B and individually certify? The person who is exporting it from the original chat box to the email has to give the 65B. The person who is exporting from the chat box to the email has to give the 65B. An individual can certify it. Yes, you don't require any certified authorities. There is no authorities for that. You don't have to pay out to outsiders to get a certificate. Mr. Santosh, if you don't mind, can you share contact number for consultation? That the moderator can share it with everyone. Yeah, Angad, any questions?
Sir, I think we are at the end of the questions right now.
Okay.
So if you can wrap this up in the next 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, because I think so. Yeah, time up is also there, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and thank you everyone for listening to me specifically. Now I also feel charged up because every day I take 3 sessions. I feel as if I'm in the court only. So because unless a lawyer, until he argues or talks, you'll forget that he's a lawyer. So thanks a lot. Thanks. And Angad, if possible, then you can share my number.
Sure, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. Your session was very informative, and it certainly opened up our eyes to a lot of things.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. That concludes the session. Thank you very much.